ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। करुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So today we shall be discussing from the first canto, third chapter, text number 6 to 11. स एव प्रथमं देवा कौमारं सर्गमाश्रितां चचार दुश्चरं ब्रह्म brahmacharyam akhanditam. First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the four unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who, being situated in a vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of absolute truth. So we are beginning with the list of different incarnations of the Lord. So this is the very first one being described here, the four Kumaras. So Kumaras are considered the Shaktavesh avatar of the Lord. There are different categories of avatars. So four Kumaras are Shaktavesh avatar. They appeared in the Kamar creation. Kamara means the beginning. Like, the different ages in the human life, also there are different ages. Up to the age of 5 is called Kamara age. So it's just the beginning of one's life. So similarly, this creation also, the very beginning of this creation, right? Like we understand from the scriptures, the Brahma right now, within this universe, who is the original creator of this creation, he started the entire creation. He lives for 100 years. And right now he's 50 years old. He has spent 50 years of his life. Brahma has spent 50 years of his life. So currently it is 51st year, the very first day of his 51st year is going on. So the four sons of Brahma, they were born in the Kamara creation, in the very beginning of creation. Of course, this Kamara creation can apply in two ways, different ways. Every day of Brahma also there is a creation. But this is not referring to that. This Kamara creation is the very beginning of creation. When Brahma actually started creating, the very first thing he created is the four sons, the four celibates, the sons of Brahma. They're called four Kumaras, Chatush Kumaras. And they appeared mainly to teach the living entities the process of Brahman realization. Paramatma, Bhagavan, the God is understood by three different realizations. The very first, our preliminary realization is called Brahman realization, Brahmeti. When a person is more advanced in understanding of God, then he realizes Paramatma feature of the Lord, which is advanced than Brahman realization. So Brahmeti, Paramatmeti. When a person is fully graduate, understands the absolute truth in proper mature understanding, he understands that the supreme absolute truth is actually a person. And Brahman and Paramatma are nothing but his all pervasive and localized aspects, respectively. So, Chatush Kumaras, they came to this world, they appeared, through Brahma to teach the process of Brahman realization, how to realize Brahman through performing austerities. So they underwent a severe type of disciplinary austerities as Brahmacharis. No, Brahmacharis means completely following the principles of celibacy. So this is how the creation actually began. And these Kumaras are considered the Shaktiavesh or empowered incarnations of the Lord. And before executing this severe type of disciplinary actions, all of them became qualified Brahmanas. Now, what does that really mean? Before taking to the execution of the austerities, they actually became qualified Brahmanas. This is a very significant instruction. Before a person takes to any kind of severe austerities, one must be qualified as Brahmana. Now let's try to understand what is the correlation of being Brahmana with the austerities. Brahma janati iti Brahmana. Who is a Brahmana? Brahmana means a person who understands Brahman, who understands what is absolute truth, not the worldly truth, which minister or politician did what kind of corruption, or which movie star or sports stars are having what kind of affairs. Not that kind of. The absolute truth means, who am I? Who is God? What is my relation with God? Why I am here in this world? What is this world's relation with God? So all this subject matter is called absolute truth. So a person must understand these subject matters very well in order to become a qualified Brahmana. And only a qualified Brahmana can take to the severe type of austerities. In fact, in previous ages, it was forbidden for anyone to take to the austerities but Brahmanas. Only Brahmanas could perform the austerities. In fact, in the Ramayana, Uttarakhand, you find an instance where a Shudra is doing tapasya, and Lord Ramchandra goes and severs his head, kills him because he was performing tapasya. Now, many times, people who are foolish or less intelligent, they try to hide this instance. Oh, this is probably not from Ramayana. Lord Ramchandra never did that. No. That's like challenging the authority of Vyasdev. Actually speaking, in Vedic culture, it was understood that a Brahmana is a person who is highly intelligent, and he utilizes his intelligence for the purpose of welfare of the society. It's very difficult to comprehend nowadays, because nowadays an intelligent person means a person who knows how to exploit others for his own personal benefit or advantage. That's what people consider as intelligent. But in Vedic culture, in the ancient times, people who were highly intelligent, they would utilize their whole life, their whole existence for the benefit of others. And benefit of others doesn't mean to help them how to engage in more and more sense gratification. Like modern politicians, they promise, okay, if you choose me, then I will provide this kind of sense enjoyment, that kind of sense enjoyment. Brahmanas would provide the facilities for perfecting the life through guidance to Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas would do the administration and Brahmanas would actually provide the guidance. So Brahmanas were actually highly qualified, intelligent people who would use their intelligence to benefit the whole society. And performing austerities, any kind of austerity, makes a human being very, very powerful. Srila Prabhupada actually said, if anyone attends Mangal Aarti for 12 years, Prabhupada said, if you don't miss a Mangal Aarti for even one day, 12 years you perform this austerity of attaining Mangal Aarti, then you become Satyavan. Whatever you speak will actually happen. Because any austerity you do, it makes you powerful. Now just imagine if a person is Shudra. Shudra means a person who thinks how I can enjoy more and more facilities for this body. How to enjoy better eating, how to enjoy better sleeping, how to enjoy more and more sex life, and how to, create more and more facilities to defend myself. A person who thinks only in terms of animalistic propensity, the eating, sleeping, sex, and defense, and to enhance that is called Shudra. So if a Shudra of that category becomes very powerful, he can actually create chaos in the society. So therefore, it was forbidden in the previous ages for a Shudra to perform austerity. Because if a Shudra becomes powerful, he starts ruling the society. He will make the whole society into Shudras and chaos. That's what we do nowadays. In Yoga, Shudra is very powerful. In fact, Shudra and lower than Shudra, they occupy the position of administration. And the only thing they can create is the big, big slaughterhouses, casinos, brothels, that's all they can create. And they misguide the whole society that this is the aim of life. If you can have ample of money to gamble, if you can have ample of money to enjoy sex life, if you have ample of money to, enjoy any food that you like, whether it's eatable or not from human standards. So this is Shudra civilization. So therefore, in Vedic culture, Shudras were not allowed to perform disciplinary austerities. Only Brahmanas were, because they had the intelligence to utilize the power that they assumed by performing austerities in the welfare of others. Many times people from Mahabharata, they glorify Ekalavya and they sometimes criticize Dronacharya. Dronacharya was a very liberal Brahmana. He knew exactly whom to give what kind of training. So when Ekalavya, who actually happened to be a Shabara, not even Shudra, he was lower than Shudra, he was Shabara, a forest dweller. He wanted to learn the archery. And he had abilities to learn the archery. Skills he had. He was very excellent in the skills. Brahmacharya refused. Because people think, oh, see, actually Ekalavya was capable. Capability is not only in the skills. One has to have sufficient intelligence and brain substance how to utilize that skill. And Dronacharya knew very well that Ekalavya, being a Shabara, he lacks that intelligence. If he becomes a good archer, he will simply misuse it. And therefore, he didn't want it to train him. But when he saw the so-called, Guru Bhakti of Ekalavya, he actually made a, clay form of Dronacharya, accepted him as Guru, and started practicing archery. And Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, people foolishly think that he was a Guru Bhakta. But he was a great offender to Guru. He thought, my Guru is less intelligent. My Guru is discriminative. He doesn't know that I have ability to learn the archery. So in this way, he insulted Dronacharya by going forward and learning the archery. So first of all, he was a Guru Drohi. He was the offender to Guru. And secondly, he lacked intelligence on where to utilize the skills of archery. And the proof of that we get from Mahabharata is he actually became the ally of Jarasandha. And Balaram personally killed him. He was fighting with Balaram. I think Balaram or Krishna, one of them, they killed him actually. So in spite of giving his thumb to Dronacharya, he could still fight. He was a great warrior. So much so that Jarasandha, who was actually a powerful king, he accepted him as one of his. So qualified Brahmana means who has good brain substance, how to utilize the power one receives. So these Chatushkumaras, they, before taking to the severe type of austerities, they became qualified Brahmanas. It's a prerequisite. In Kali Yuga, nobody is practically qualified Brahmana. Kala Shudra Sambhava. Everybody in Kali Yuga more or less a Shudra. And we see when Shudras actually perform severe kind of austerities, like, for example, we know during the Second World War, Dr. Oppenheimer, he had invented this nuclear energy. But his intention was this nuclear energy can be used for creating the cheap energy, like, electricity, different kinds of forms for human welfare. But when the Shudra rulers, the politicians, they saw, oh, this is such a wonderful energy, they created bombs out of it and dropped on, Japan, killed thousands of people in one stroke. So you can say, just like Ekalavya had skills, the modern civilization has skills to create bombs, but they don't have intelligence where to use it. They lack the intelligence how to utilize all the resources for welfare of every living entity. But Chatushkumaras, before taking to the disciplinary action of austerities, they became qualified Brahmins through studying the scripture, through understanding the subject matter of who we really are, what is our relation with God. So this example suggests that one must first acquire the qualification of a Brahman, not simply by birth, but also by qualities. Then one can undergo the process of Brahman realization by performing austerities. So, Chatushkumaras, the Srimad Bhagavatam describes, they were Brahman realized, but they also got the association of the Lord. They happened to visit Vaikuntha and they had the darshan of the Lord. And they also instructed Prithu Maharaj. There's a beautiful instruction by Chatushkumaras to Maharaj Prithu in Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll be reading when we get to that section of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Sorry. So text 7 says, Dutiyam tu bhavayasya rasatalagata mahim udharishyan upadhatta yaggesha saukaram vapu. the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices, accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation. And for the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe. So, this is the list of the incarnations being given. So, the second incarnation was the boar, Varahadi. Srila Prabhupada explains, for every incarnation of the personality of Godhead, the particular function executed is also mentioned. There cannot be any incarnation without a particular function, and such functions are always extraordinary. A very simple truth about avatar or incarnation of the Lord. In Kali Yuga, foolishly people accept anyone and everyone as incarnation. In fact, I remember in early 90s, late 80s and early 90s, when I was actually studying in college and was introduced newly to this Krishna consciousness after finishing our studies. So many incarnations you get to hear. I don't know if nowadays also still in India, they have a lot of incarnations. I know one of the incarnation, man-made incarnation is, they have created a big, kind of hype out of it is, Sai Baba, who never ever claimed himself to be God, the actual Sai Baba I'm talking about, not the modern Sai Baba, whose temple they have created in Shirdi. So he was just a yogi. He used to engage in welfare activities of people. He never claimed that he's God. But foolish people of Kali Yuga, they just made him into God. They created a big temple, created, the whole Shirdi has become kind of a holy place. And less intelligent class of people, they visit there, thinking that, oh, we are going to worship God or we're going to visit the holy place. But incarnation must be accepted accordance to the direction of, scriptures. Every incarnation is mentioned in the scriptures, including the Channa avatar, the hidden incarnation of the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are ample of references in the scriptures. So here, the incarnation of boar is being explained, that he took the earth out of neutral regions. So, in the bottom of this universe, there is a Garbha Samudra. So, one time this entire earth sank into the Garbha Samudra. So the Lord appeared to lift the earth from Garbha Samudra. So he took the appropriate form, which can actually go to the muddy places, because the bottom of the universe means it sank in the bottom of the ocean, Garbha ocean. The bottom of the ocean is bound to be, muddy, where the earth meets with the water. So it's bound to be muddy. So the Lord appeared at appropriate form of a shukara, a boar, because boar likes to go to the filthy places or muddy places. So the Lord, in order to pick up, the earth from the netherral regions, he took the form of a boar. But even though appeared as a boar, he displayed, his unparalleled, opulences or Aishwarya by lifting the earth from the netherral regions and bringing it again back to its position. So modern so-called incarnations of God, they can't do any extraordinary activity like this. So there is nothing impossible for the Supreme Lord. So although he played the role of a boar, but he's always worshipped by the devotees. There are places where the Lord is actually worshipped as the boar, as the Varahadev form of the Lord. Even in Vrindavan, there is a temple of Varahadev, and the Parikrama Marg, there is a temple of Varahadev comes. And also, Bhumi Devi eternally worships the form of Varahadev in the layer of universal layer of earth. So there, Bhumi Devi is eternally worshipping Lord Varahadev. So in this way, the Lord appeared as Varahadev, and he lifted the earth from the nether region, but at the same time, he also killed. He killed the demon named Hiranyaksha. So the Lord appeared as Varahadev, lifted the earth, and battled with Hiranyaksha, the elder brother of Hiranyakashipu, the younger brother of Hiranyakashipu, and killed him. So this is described in the third canto of Bhagavatam. When we reach there, we will also be discussing this in detail. Text 8. Tritiyam rishi sargam vai deva rishi topetyasam tantram satvatam achishtam naishkarmyam karmanam yata. In the millennium of the rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the third empowered incarnation in the form of Deva Rishi Narada, who is great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action. So this is the next incarnation being described as Narada. So Devashi Narada is also one of the empowered incarnations of the Lord. So Narada Muni is the empowered incarnation of the Lord, and his prime activity, as you know, we discussed every incarnation's activity is also described. His prime activity is to preach the glories of devotional service, to propagate the devotional service all over the universe. He's not just limited to one place. Like, you know, we may be living in one place. I'm living here in Sacramento. I can only preach to some region, but Narada Muni can go anywhere in the universe. And wherever he finds an appropriate recipient, he starts giving them devotional service. Just like, you know, Narada Muni meets Dhruva Maharaj, a young boy, 5-year-old boy, you know, and he finds him appropriate candidate in him and gives him the mantra to chant in a secluded place. And this way, Dhruva Maharaj actually perfects his life simply by having association of Narada. Similarly, Narada Muni sees the two sons of Kubera being intoxicated, apparently not the proper candidates or qualified candidates to receive devotional service. Even to them, Narada Muni, you know, contemplates how I can actually give devotional service to these two brothers. So he contemplates and comes to conclusion that cursing them and making them into trees would be the best course of action to turn them into pure devotees of the Lord. Similarly, he meets the 10,000 sons of Daksha Prajapati, who are very highly intellectuals. He preaches to them in a very intellectual way. That episode will also come. How he preached to the 10,000 sons of Daksha Prajapati in a very allegorical way, explaining them the human life. But in the next 1,000 sons of Daksha Prajapati, He did not, although they were also highly intellectual, he did not preach to them intellectually. He simply inspired them that you are the younger brothers, you should follow in the footsteps of your elder brothers. Elder brother is like father. So whatever course they have followed, you should follow as well. So in this way, he transformed those 1,000 sons of Daksha Pradapati also into Vaishnavas. So Narad Muni has disciples all over the universe. He made King Prachni Bahari into a Vaishnava. He also became his disciple. He had a Mrigari, which is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, one of the hunter into his disciple. The great sage Valmiki Muni, who compiled Ramayana, is also a disciple of Narad Muni. So Narada Muni has Vyasdev, the compiler of all the Vedic scripture, is disciple of Narada Muni. So Narada Muni has so many disciples all over the universe. And Narada Muni, he's the author of Narada Pancharatra, which is the exposition of the Vedas, particularly for devotional service of the Lord. So generally in the Vedic culture, there are two ways to worship the deity. The deity worship is performed by two processes. One is called Vedic Vidhi, other is called Pancharatrik Vidhi. So what we follow within our ISKCON society is the process of Pancharatrik Vidhi. Because in Kali Yuga, nobody is qualified to follow the Vedic Vidhi. Because Vedic Vidhi requires some lot of prerequisites. Prabhupada said, if I was to teach, all of you about the Vedic standard of cleanliness, you will probably be sitting whole day in the bathroom. Because we have no sense of cleanliness. Every moment we keep contaminating ourselves. And in Vedic Vidhi, you cannot worship the deity being contaminated. But in Pancharatrik Vidhi also, you follow some basic standard of cleanliness. Not that you can be dirty and unclean and still worship the deity. No. You still follow some basic standard of cleanliness. And there is no, all the prerequisites that are very much essential for Vedic Vidhi are essential in Pancharatrik Vidhi. Like, for example, in Vedic Vidhi, a person who is born without Garbhadana Samskar is regarded as Shudra, and he cannot worship the deity form of the Lord. Now, in Kali Yuga, how many people are actually born by Garbhadana Samskar? People don't even know what is Garbhadana Samskar. Most of the population doesn't even know what it is. So, more or less, even in our ISKCON society, devotees may, very little portion of devotees may know what is Garbhadana Samskar. And out of those also, very, very little portion of devotees may actually follow that. So that means, practically speaking, everybody will be disqualified. But the Pancharatrik Vidhi, what we follow in ISKCON is, even though a person may be coming from Shudra or lower than Shudra family, even he may be an outcast, can take the shelter of a spiritual master and start following some basic rules and regulation and worship the deity as well. So even if a person is Shudra or lower than Shudra, can worship the form of the Lord in devotional service. So this Pancharatrik Vidhi is, especially the way of worshipping the deity form of the Lord and following the different rules and regulation which are conducive for devotional service. This is compiled by Sri Narada Muni. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the modern society, because more or less everybody is foolish and is very much desirous of sense enjoyment. So being materialistic, people have no idea how to attain happiness which is unconditional. Whatever happiness we derive in this world, it is all conditional. I have good health now. It's conditional. Anytime I can have ill health. I may be, very wealthy now, and I'm feeling happy because I have a lot of wealth. But tomorrow I may be on the street without any home or shelter. So all the happiness a person experiences in this world is conditional. It depends on so many different conditions. Nobody can imagine in this world having unconditional happiness. But that is possible through the process of devotional service. So Narada Pancharatra trains the karmis, the fruit workers, to achieve the liberation from the bondage of fruit work. Trains them how to transport their karmic activities into devotional service. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita also gives the similar solution of serving the Lord by fruits of one's labor. Yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhoshi dadashi, yat tapasyastu konti kurushi madarpan. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, whatever you do, yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, whatever you eat, yad juhoshi dadashi, whatever you give away in charity, do it for me. So that is the process of devotional service. And ultimately, this process of devotional service leads a person to the path of liberation, or Naishkarmya. So this incarnation of harmony keeps traveling throughout the universe and keep delivering the appropriate candidates. So we're discussing the Mrigari. Mrigari is one of the very dear disciple of Srila Narada Muni. This is there in Srimad Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We'll discuss sometime in detail, but today just to touch up, the glory of Narada Muni. So, and also in the forthcoming chapters, I think the 5th chapter we'll be reading Narada Muni and Vyasadev's conversation. So there also the wonderful lessons will come out from how Narada Muni, even though Vyasadeva is considered also incarnation of the Lord, Narada Muni is such a powerful sage. He could remove the confusion from the mind of Vyasadeva through instructing him in devotional service. I think it's already 6:16. So let me see how many we have. Okay, I think we will not be able to finish everything. We can stop here. If anyone has any questions, you may ask.